Gerald Brown. All right, well, how y'all doing? All right. So I've been asked, after it was put out, and I accepted eagerly the opportunity to present the Board of Directors orientation to you today. Allow me to qualify myself. I am the newest and probably the most inexperienced, one of the most inexperienced people on the board. But I am excited to be on the board as a board member. And so I'm in a pretty good position being last up, because it sort of reminds me when I was in Little League football. And when I became the running back, I was, they would call plays and I would run the ball all the way down the field. And then we get right to the goal line, and then they call the other guy to play for the other guy to run it in. Well, I'm the other guy today, because you had Reverend Evelyn, and you had Vail, and now you got me. So I'm going to try to punch it in the end zone for you today. Is that all right?
All right.
Okay. All right. And so as one of the newer board members, and probably the more inexperienced one, I will defer anything that is not in order. Because I did take some liberty. I love to teach, and that's one of the reasons why I volunteered to jump at this opportunity. I love to teach, and one of the reasons why I love to teach, as I sat there contemplating why I love to teach, is that you have to learn before you teach. You can't teach anything that you haven't learned. And so as part of my learning process, I had to kind of rearrange some things, but the content is the same, okay? So I put a little guy up here, and he has a torch in his hand. Why do you think I put that torch up there?
Because we're almost at the finish line.
We're almost at the finish line?
Then you pass it to somebody
Come
else.
on, sister. Come on. All right, so when you're on the board, one of the things that we have to be thinking about is passing the torch. All right, we are torch bearers, and we are passed because you're not going to be on the board forever. Okay, so that's why I wanted to put that little guy up there. I thought he was very appropriate. You can go to the next slide. We'll get started. This is our vision statement, right? Was created by...
It's a board motto.
It was a board motto. Thank you. Know the truth, hold the vision, and manage the facts. So what is the truth?
Only one presence and power in the universe.
All right.
God is absolute good.
All right. Basic truth students and the like, right? Hold the vision. All right. So the vision, anybody?
An inclusive spiritual community.
Okay. And
in a world in which all people recognize and obey.
so we'll talk a little bit about the vision, or at least part of the vision piece, all right? But one of the things that I like about a vision is that we are all collectively developing the vision every step that we take. This is what I've been, and I'm just sharing with you what I've been learning, not only as a ministry leader, but as a member of the board. You learn a lot quickly when you get on the board. It's only been a few months. And I've had to learn a lot of stuff. But the vision is always unfolding. But it's all centered around a basic concept and an idea which we will share later. And manage the facts. And I think that is self-explanatory. You go to the next one. Except the Lord build the house. They labor in vain that build it. Coming from Psalms 127 and 1. Next slide. We are spirit-driven, principle-driven, purpose-driven, and promise-driven. Linda mentioned, go back to that slide, please. Another thing that Linda mentioned was that I am in a teacher training program. And I'm discovering a lot of things about New Thought that I kind of knew, but you really know it once you start taking these classes. And we express something in the New Thought called transcendentalism. And that means that we recognize that we have an indwelling presence that we call a spirit or a soul, and a soul. And we believe that that spirit and that soul resonates with truth, with those things that are of God, right? So we are spirit driven. When we make decisions, we consult spirit first, all right? That is what spirit driven is. Principle driven, we have some principles that we have in this organization, right? You all remember any of those kind of basic principles? There you go.
Unity of man, having power,
Uh-huh.
practicing the presence and the law demonstration.
I think I'm gonna be a good teacher. I think I'm gonna be a good teacher. 'Cause that's the easy part. I just say, what y'all think? And they come bring it right on out. Purpose driven. We're purpose driven. We have a purpose, right? Our purpose is sort of aligned with our vision. We'll talk about our purpose in the next slide or two. All right, and promise driven. Somebody tell me about the promise. Somebody tell me about the promise. All right.
That statement is actually based on Thurman Evans' book
Uh-huh.
called The Promise-Driven Life.
Uh-huh.
And it's based on the promises articulated in Scripture
There you go.
about what it is you can expect as an outcome when you are practicing the presence of God according to Scripture.
Okay.
That's where that comes from.
And so being a very astute teacher, one thing I recognize is that when I ask you a question, everybody get quiet, it's because I haven't given you enough background information to answer the question accurately. So I'll keep that in mind moving forward. Next slide. Know the truth. You went back. There you go. All right. So, the one, is somebody gonna read it? Can y'all read it? Can you see it?
One God citizen of liability is a 501c not-for-profit corporation.
Okay, now stop. This is according to our bylaws. Correct me.
Aren't you a 501c3?
Okay, so we'll correct that. 501c3. All right.
And then, an independent affiliate of the Universal Foundation for Liability.
Okay, so for a long time when I was a part of this church, I actually thought that the church was, the structure of it in relationship to Universal Foundation was similar to other churches, that we belonged to a conference. And whatever the conference head said, that's what we did, right? But we are not. We are an independent affiliate, right, of the Universal Foundation for Better Living. The corporation is an independent, this comes straight from my bylaws. The corporation is an independent and autonomous entity owing allegiance to no other entity. And the people that drive what we do are our chief operating officer, right, your minister, my minister, and the board. And we work in conjunction with everybody else in this church to make sure that we're moving toward a vision and a purpose. You go to the next slide. We are a business. It was down there briefly, and Vail mentioned that we are a business. All right. Anybody that makes you nervous, you know? Okay. Don't be nervous. All right. Because we are in the business, and this is our purpose. All right. Again, coming straight from our bylaws. To expound the, why don't y'all read it? Somebody read it. You get it in your spirit.
To expound the teaching of Jesus Christ as delineated by the word we are worshiping.
Okay, so in our worship, in our classes of instruction for both children and adults, because kids are people too, and other activities, block-a-doo, block-a-doo, block-a-doo. All right, next slide. So, our agenda for today is to talk about our policy, which Dale elaborated on, and I'm sure Reverend Evelyn did so as well. Our board of directors, structure and operation, and then the board of directors' responsibilities and commitments. Okay, next slide. All right, so our board policy. So what is a policy? It's a course or principle of action adopted by a government, party, business, or individual. So one way to look at that is an if-then statement, if anybody knows what an if-then statement. If this happens, then this is the expected outcome. Right? So that's what a policy is for. When things happen, what is our response? If we want things to happen, then what should our response be? Got it? Okay, next slide. I know I'm preaching to the choir because I'm looking, most of y'all have been on the board of OGOT at some point. Maybe a few people who have not. This is for the ones who haven't. All right, our board policy. The general powers of the board is you are part of the management team. That's interesting. Okay. And you are to serve OGOT, the organization, and the membership. Right? The number of members are 8 elected directors and the senior minister. We didn't leave that.
Oh, okay.
Has it changed? At one point in time, it had to be an odd number, and if it wasn't.
It is odd with the senior minister.
But I'm saying, it
Oh.
was at some time, and remember at one point,
Oh,
it was 5 to 7.
Really?
So what is it, it actually says now in the policy, 9,
In the bylaws,
the bylaws
it
now,
does not say not, we changed the bylaws,
to say,
yes, to say that it had to be an odd number.
but that's not what that says, that says 8 elected.
And
8 directors
No,
and the
I'm
senior
saying it
minister.
should say,
That's because this is what it is now, but this really should be saying what is actually in the
policy.
I understand, I'm explaining to you. But this is what it is now. That statement should say what you're trying to, the point you're making.
okay,
Sorry, I didn't know.
that's all right. And our tenure. So you serve a 3-year term. Okay. All right. And correct me if I'm wrong, because there's going to be something else that I'm still trying to wrap my mind around, and maybe you can all help me how this 2-year thing happens and then the 3-year. Maybe we can explain that a little bit. All right.
Is it just 3-year term?
Yes.
The reason I
And
asked.
staggered. You know, you got half the people doing the first 3 years, then you've got another group who comes in, and they do 3 years, and then the third year, both are serving at the same time.
Okay. Good. So that explains what's going to come up a little later. And thanks, because that's why I love jumping in and doing this stuff, because I learn, and I don't mind learning in front of everybody. Right? Okay. So these things, the printout's going to be a little small on here, so I'll read them for you. But the board policy qualifications are that you must be a dedicated, devoted member of OGOT. All right? Dedicated and devoted. All right? The next one. You do not need to be a resident of Maryland. Okay. Thought that was important enough to put there just in case you didn't happen to be a resident of Maryland. Financial and
Meaning, we have people who come from Pennsylvania, from Virginia, in the region, and who are consistent, consistently members.
All right, good, thank you. That they are a financial and a time tither. That they have regular attendance in class, services, and events. That they complete or be present for board member orientation, 2 of 3. Today you will have completed, if you've been here since 10 o'clock-ish, then you will have completed all 3. Completion of Basic Truth 1 and 2, which is important. All right. I think I don't see anybody here who hasn't, I know who has not. But that's important, and you know that's one of the things that comes up in the choir all the time, because they want to know why we want to change words all the time. You know, but there's a reason. And when you take Basic Truth 1 and 2, you begin to understand why that's important to us. You must, let's see, you get that? Oh, I kind of went the other way. And then you have to complete the application. All right? Next slide. I'm going to zoom through this one, y'all. Not too fast, but fast enough. All right, qualifications, the board nominee criteria. All right, so you must meet the qualifications that was on the previous slide. Again, be dedicated and devoted to the teachings, demonstrate regular attendance in services, affairs, and classes, must complete the board after training, the same thing. Next slide. Nominating committee members. So this is our policy on elections. This is what we're talking about now. So the nominating committee is consistent of the senior minister, current board member, and 2 congregants, okay? All right. Someone that is selected by both the minister and the nominating
And right
from the
now,
board.
right now, the board, Dan is on the nominating committee. From the congregation, it's now Crystal and Lucinda.
All right. Okay, let's see, and,
Who selected them?
no, go ahead, good question.
They were selected by the nominating committee from a previous year. And I need to say also that the governance subcommittee is now reviewing our policy and bylaws on that and about to make some changes. And if you want to know, you can come to a governance committee, you'll hear all the details, you can help us think it through, or we'll just announce it before the next election cycle so that you can know what changes were made.
I don't have a problem with this. Just curious about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm explaining, that it's in review right now, and it may change from what you see here.
So let me share with you, curiosity is what got me here, so thank you for your curiosity. But I was so pleased to hear Vale's presentation because it just helped me to confirm that we are really on point.
Yeah.
We're really on point with what we're doing.
And when we go to the legal compliance conference for churches, we see that we are on point. Kenosha and I just went through the most recent one, and I say at least 95% we're on point. We have a few areas that we need to tighten up, which is normal and regular, but we're pretty much right on point.
Good. So as a board member, you wear a lot of different hats. All right. I just put 5 up there, but there were probably some more that you can think of. But you are certainly a spiritual leader. This is an expectation. Whatever you are outside of here, that's on you. But when you come in here, it's supposed to be leading in a spiritual way. You are part of a governing body, so you're a governor. Right?
Can I make a statement on that?
Yes, you may. Okay.
We have to be authentic. So whatever you showing up here, you best be showing up outside of here the same way.
Okay.
So, that's all I want to say.
All right. Okay. Governor. Strategic planner. That was in Jeff's job. Strategic planner. Okay. Somebody who can think critically and think out and through processes. You have to be a little bit of an accountant. Because as Vale said, and we had a long discussion about this, at one of our board meetings, talking about the importance of reviewing the financial statements. You know, it all looked like just lines upon stuff to me when I first started looking at it. But as I continued to look at it, it started to make more and more sense. And with the help of everybody, and then that's just kind of putting our brains on it collectively, it actually starts to make sense after a while. Doesn't really look at like a bunch of numbers. And at least you get to know which ones are the most important numbers.
And we do print and issue to each board member a financial statement every single month. So you get a balance sheet and an income and expense statement and a comparative statement to show where we were last month in that same line item as well as where we were last year in the same line item. And the finance subcommittee, and Paul, you know this, we were heavy finance subcommittee for years. but we still maintain that practice. The Finance Subcommittee does a detailed review of that financial statement in the Finance Committee every month. Paying, yes, that.
I'd like to say something a little bit about that accounting piece. I've never been in a training until recently where they said the bottom line is not the bottom line unless it is strategically identified correctly. I've never heard anybody say that, but I've always heard that the most important thing is balances and that the bottom line. And they said that is not the most important thing.
That's right.
And that anybody who understands finances, when looking at your budget, can tell you who you are, because if they don't see strategic items, because I never heard anybody describe a budget like this.
Yeah.
You know, if your line items don't map back to strategic activity,
Yeah.
then your budget is off. I never heard anybody talk about
It's
it
like,
like that.
are you spending money on the right thing? Are you spending money on the right thing? And that's one of the reasons that our Finance Committee and Board are very involved in planning the next year's financial plan, where we have a detail, and you'll be able to see it, where there were some people who wanted to know more about that. And we will have a process where we will actually issue the financial plan so you can look at it. And you can see every line has a detail that says why, how we're going to meet this strategic vision, and the significance of it. So in our tithing line, in our love offering line, in all of those, every line item is detailed. Cost of the building, just to maintain and operate that, and all the details.
And map back to the strategic plan.
And we're getting better at it over a process of time. Let me not drill down on that. We have a new strategic vision that's coming up now. So we are re-evaluating and realigning the financial plan to what's going to be happening next.
All right. Well, thank you, Val, for that. And it did strike me when you said it. It did hit me. I was so glad you caught it on video and the recording. We're going to make sure that people, that we drill that down, you know, that the strategic piece is an important part of what the financial plan should look like.
The other thing I want to say is, every board member is accountable for whether or not what's on that financial statement is accurate. That is why you have to have a monthly review of the financial statement. Because the board, when it says we accept the financial statement for this month, is actually saying these numbers are accurate. This is exactly what has happened. So that's the part of the accountability. We're very serious about that.
And housekeeping and trade firms. Sometimes you got to pick up hammers and screwdrivers, and you got to point out things that need to be fixed, and all of this kind of stuff. We're talking about really our facilities piece, you know, just the basic upkeep of the church. You know, as board members, I feel compelled to have a much greater responsibility now when I walk around. If I see stuff like on the ground or just in, I would kind of do it anyway, but I feel as a board member now, I really feel more compelled to just kind of be a little more mindful about what the actual building is, the condition of it, and how we are presenting ourselves to anybody who shows up to these doors, right? You can probably think of a couple more things, but we're going to move on. Okay, our policy on elections. So the requirements remain the same from the previous slides. On the secret ballot, I didn't know that we had a secret ballot. Maybe y'all can break this one down a little bit. But the votes are cast anonymously. All right, so you can have nominations from the floor, and then you can have the secret ballot.
All right, the ballot are the people that the nominating committee is offering as candidates. It's posted 30 days before the annual membership meeting, so you can see who the candidates are. But the election itself is by secret ballot. So every individual who comes has a ballot but you don't put your name on it. That's what's meant by secret ballot.
Awesome. All right, next slide. Okay, and we're halfway there, y'all. The structure and operation. So this is how we are structured, okay? At the top of our little diagram here, we have the senior minister and the board of directors. All right. It's broken up into two parts. Let's deal with this part over here. And so this goes to our senior minister, assistant minister, excuse me. All right. And through the assistant minister and with the assistant minister, our senior minister leads out in spiritual development and leadership, administration, and operations. I wanted to really clarify that because I didn't want you to think this is just this person alone.
Right.
The senior minister, along with the assistant minister, is dealing with these things here. All right? Okay. As an arm, right, of our senior minister, an extension. On this side, we have our executive committee, which is basically our board, again, which our senior minister is a part of. And underneath the board, this is where the fun part gets to be. This is where a lot of the work starts happening. And that is these committees. The finance committee, the governance and board development committee, the facilities committee, and the strategic planning committee. All right? These are four things that once you get on the board, there will be sort of an expectation that you might want to be a part of one of these boards. And really, so many of us, even though we may be chairing one of these boards, we're really actually a part of most of these boards all the time because we're showing up to all of the meetings, or most of them anyway. And you kind of got to do it because you just want to be informed because everything affects everything. You know, as the co-chair for strategic planning, and Tiffany Ginyard is my co-chair for strategic planning committee, we have to kind of know what's going on with the finance committee. Because what's the point of making a strategic plan if the budget won't support it? All right? We got to kind of know what's going on with the government. And you can see where all of it just kind of just, you know, it's more like those Venn diagrams where the circles just overlap. You know, everything is connected to everything. All right, next slide.
Excuse me, can I just make a statement? With the facilities, the assistant minister is really the head of facilities. And what the facility committee does just assist her
Right.
in the ongoing facility.
Okay, so the facilities committee, if I'm saying it right, I'm going to rephrase it,
Okay.
develops the policies that govern how this happens over in the facility, in this part of it. So it's the policy part of it, the if-then part of it.
So really, shouldn't the assistant minister be with things that?
Is that not correct?
Government is responsible for developing.
No, I got you, but I got you. Governance is responsible for policy on everything. But just like everything else, it does it with the assistance of these committees, right? Because otherwise, y'all just be sitting there kind of not doing a whole lot, right?
Well, you're doing something, we are assisting the assistant.
Okay. All right.
Go over here.
You know, like making suggestions or reporting something that needs to be repaired or something of that level. It's the assistant minister that is
Making sure that it gets done. But that's different.
We assist her, we don't.
But somehow that doesn't seem perfect to me. Go ahead.
Had a quick comment. So, the assistant minister is responsible for the operation. And so that's why she has the facilities committee. So the
She
facilities
doesn't
committee,
head the facility committee.
she's the chair.
She's responsible for the facilities of the church. Is that right? Is that correct?
She's the chair.
No, the facility committee chair is Ocean.
Oh, you're the chair.
And
Yes,
the co-chair is Stephanie, right?
Right. But I was,
But who actually carries out and implements the policies and the recommendations that come out of the assistant Is,
She does operations.
yes, that's right.
And that's the part I was getting a disconnect from what you were describing. Like,
Chairs.
facilities committee should be over there.
Oh,
Right, and so, right, so since it's over there, the assistant minister is not the head of the facilities committee.
oh, we don't say that.
But I'm just understanding.
Yeah, because she said something about the assistant minister being.
Her role is to implement, as a part of the staff, my role and my assistant minister's role is to implement what comes out of the board decisions.
So then whatever the facilities committee comes up with, they report back to the executive committee.
They report back to the board of directors.
Right.
The board of directors decides, okay,
Right.
we're gonna fix the roof. All right, and this is our plan and strategy, coming out of strategic planning.
Right.
And this is how we're gonna raise the money.
Right.
And this is how, and that goes back to the board. The board then has to act on it and say, yes, this is what we're gonna do and how. Then it comes over for implementation by the staff.
Yeah, that was my thinking.
Yes.
Somehow when Kadosh was talking about it, it seemed to, the lines seemed to blur and mesh. So forgive me.
I think she was just talking about, when I did leave the room, I think she was just trying to explain that the facilities committee is not the one who's gonna take the action.
No, not at all.
I thought that's what you were just trying to explain.
No.
Yes,
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
That's good clarification.
Next slide.
Yeah, it's important
Yes,
clarification.
it's important.
Because the document Reverend Evelyn gave made a good point of that on this last sheet, where it says what's the role of the board and what's the role of the CEO or the senior minister or the senior minister's designee.
I mean, I could even see that.
I think it's listed.
The assistant minister could have an issue that comes up, like the roof, that she reports to the senior minister, and the senior minister being on the board, then lets the, the appropriate committee know, and the committee moves around between, even between the committees, the finance and the facilities, and then it goes back up the chain of command and comes over and comes back down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I see it. Okay, good. All right, I just want some clarity. It wasn't sounding clear to me.
All right, so who are the board of directors? We have a president and a vice president. We have a treasurer and assistant treasurer. They were all introduced to you, so I won't reintroduce them. The secretary and assistant secretary, 2 members at large position, and our CEO and senior minister, who is a permanent board member. Bylaws, right? And anything I want to say, but I think we can move on. Next slide. Well, I guess I wanted to back it up. I guess I wanted you all to see that. There you go. Because then you can kind of start to see where you might fit. Right? Now, I mean, there is a process by which people, because just in case you don't know, when you become elected, you become elected as a board member. But then there's a separate election that takes place that decides what you will be. And that election takes place among the board members. Right? And so, but, if you find that you feel like you have something that you can offer, with these things, then that is something to think about. But as I said in that other slide before, where it had you wearing all the hats, I don't care what you signed up to do. Because if you thought all you was going to do was the secretary, you're going to end up doing everything else too.
Because you're a fully working board,
Yeah, and most of the board is on all of the subcommittees.
Yeah.
Just as a sidebar, the CEO and senior minister being on the board of directors when case the board is challenged, because it is not generally a best practice. It is unique to churches. And they said churches and archers. Yes, yeah, it is.
So according to, it's in our bylaws, and it's a consistency of practice over 25 years.
Yeah, and so but somebody might challenge you because the best practice is that the CEO not be a board member.
In a nonprofit.
And a nonprofit. So that is kind of unique to these spiritual institutions, and it is not, the point is, it is not illegal. That's a suggested practice, but it is not incorrect or illegal.
Okay.
Excellent. Sergeant.
Yeah, is this, setup the same or similar as most of the churches?
In terms of the structure,
The structure that they have?
it is similar. And most of our churches set up their bylaws similar to how UFBL sets up its bylaws. We use them as a model. We don't have to, but it's been pretty much established as a best practice among UFBL churches.
Theoretically, the CEOs who
Yes. Yes.
Next slide. Doing good, Joe.
There's an error in it.
Yeah, 2
It's a
years.
3-year, it should be a 3-year term.
Yeah. So this action, has a description on the bylaws, which means,
Yeah, but the bylaws were changed
Yes.
years later, and
Yes.
probably the version you have. So see, that's the point, you need to keep reviewing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But it's funny because it said 2-year term, but then it said the term of 3 years, which, which is kind of, yes. So it's 3 years.
That's the question about the overlapping terms. The second point is that you have one group of people who is elected, and then the next year, a group of people rotates off, and you have a set of new people. So then you have a third year, which is why we did that, where you have the two groups working together. Because it's a challenge when every year you have a new board coming in. You got to go back, you got to orient, you got to explain everything. You don't have the consistency of understanding about what's going on and where we are in the history of it. So you try to have some overlapping period where both elected groups get to work together. That was the thinking behind it.
Is there any recommendation or policy about board members serving consecutive terms?
No. It's up for review.
That's a good question, because the best practice for nonprofits is 2 consecutive terms of 3 years, 1 year off, and the ability to come back after 1 year off. But it's generally 2 consecutive terms, and then the organization will determine how many years.
UFBL is 3
That's
consecutive terms.
That's actually quite moderate.
Yeah. But for UFBL, well, I don't think it's addressed in our bylaws, the point you're making. For UFBL board, it's 3 consecutive terms, a year off. So we haven't addressed it, but it's one of the things we need to put on the table in our governance committee. Because right now, what ends up happening is there are people who serve their 3-year term, and they are willing to continue to serve, and there's nothing that says the boundary on how many consecutive terms they can serve. So that's something that needs to get on our agenda.
Next slide. All right, so our executive committee. Our executive committee determines what goes to the board for approval. It establishes processes for all other board committees and for reporting and conducting business. And reports directly to the board of directors. Okay. I think that really laid out that piece right there.
The executive committee is headed by the board president, and the members of that executive committee are the chairs of all those subcommittees. So the idea is that the executive and the committee chairs together decide what's going to come before the board, what the process is going to be, and so forth. That is the way it's intended to function. It doesn't always function like that, but that's the intention of this. And right now you have the whole board serving on so many subcommittees because we're so excited about what we got going and we got to be able to talk to each other. We just all come to all the subcommittees.
But that does highlight the need for us to begin to reach out into our
Yes.
congregation.
Yes.
And to be able to bring those ideas and those thoughts into these subcommittees.
Yeah, because any congregation members can serve on subcommittees.
Well, while you're on that question, I'm going to ask you one more. Can any congregation member attend a board of directors meeting? Or are they closed?
You must, I think you have to be invited.
Yeah, you have to be invited. There
Right.
are members who come periodically to present something.
Right.
Or to, but generally, but what we have put in place now by request of the congregation is these periodic updates where we will disclose what the board is working on, what the plans are, whether we've got one coming up soon. And we're still discussing the issue of how open we want the board meetings to be. We can't keep you from coming because there's nothing in the bylaws that actually addresses it. There's nothing in the policy that actually addresses it. So, but we've got to come up with language that does address it.
Yes. You don't have to have some kind of language because it's a nonprofit, it's a public entity.
Yes, it is.
And because it's a public entity, then the public has access
That's right.
to the meeting and to
Unless it's
and-
deemed a closed
unless-
meeting.
Yep,
Yeah.
unless it's being closed, or unless it's deemed an executive initiative or meeting, that's different. But the general board meeting, because you are a public entity,
Yes.
and if there's no language,
Yes.
I would encourage you
It's on the
to.
table right now.
Okay.
It's on the table, and also, we are transparent in terms of anybody can come in and look at the bylaws, anybody can come and look at the financial statements, anybody can come and look at the minutes. I mean, it's, we're transparent in that sense. You can come every month after the board meeting and look at the minutes or whenever the minutes get finished.
Hey, look, I love it,
What's going on.
because that, it just means that we're growing and we're showing.
Oh, yeah. And I'm all for participatory management. I like more people involved and participating when they seriously are there to contribute something, not just coming in to see what isn't working and how, and how I can, if people really want to come and participate and help us do what we're intending to do, the more the merrier.
I don't know, I would say that it's been my experience that most people, when they come to look and see what's wrong, what ain't happening, what's going. But then we find out who is a potential board member and who is not.
That's right.
Because those who come just to look and see what's wrong, okay, that's cool. No wrong with that.
That's right.
But then those
That's right to do that.
who come in with that same thing, but they say, wait a minute. Now, I think I want to contribute in some way, shape, or form. Those, if you find yourself in that category,
Yes.
then you might be a board member. All right, a future board member. All right, next slide. All right, Strategic Planning Committee. What does the Strategic Planning Committee do? It plans and prepares the organization to go to higher ground. It creates a treasure map for accomplishing our vision. It links current environment to future growth and development. It develops action plans for strategic growth. All right, is that clear? They look into the future, look at what they have right now, and then chart a course for results. Next slide. Our Finance Committee develops fiscal policies, procedures, and guidelines. They are the stewards of our tangible assets. They engage in projects, revenue. They project revenue that is reasonable and achievable. They ensure that we maintain legal and financial integrity, and they position us, OGLT, fiscally for growth. Not physically. Fiscally. Time-wise. All right. Next slide. Our Facilities Committee develops policy as it relates to the facility and the grounds. It reviews, researches, and recommends capital improvements, both inside and outside of our facility. It recommends renovations and upgrades, and it considers future facility expansion and growth. Next slide. 21, we're almost there. The Development and Governance Committee, Governance Development Committee, develops policy for development and governance. It inspires interest through orientation, like today, and recruitment. We want you. Empowers and engages the leadership as a collective mind, and it maintains a focus on succession planning. Now, succession means like we won, right?
No.
Okay, so what are we talking about when we say succession planning? This was a new one on me. People who aren't board members.
Because when somebody, well, first of all, if there's some emergency that happens where something happens to the member of the board.
Can you all hear back there?
I'll repeat it, go ahead.
I'm saying, I think it means that if there's some emergency or something else that happens that causes a sudden opening on the board, then there's a plan in place that fulfills that without everybody having to scramble and figure out what to do on the spot.
Okay, for those people in the back, Tarja is right on point. Succession, not succeeding, but succession is when, for one reason or another, a key member of your board, be it the senior minister, one of the board members, or the assistant minister, or some other very important player on your organization, can no longer serve. And so there has to be a plan to make sure that that is done in an orderly fashion so that the organization can maintain its course. That good? Y'all heard that yet?
Yes.
All right. All right, next slide. Oh, somebody had a hand up? Oh, she was bumped out.
We got it.
I'm with that.
I just have a
Okay.
question.
Yes.
So do we have one of those, and what is it, or are we privy to it to know what it is, or?
We have a basic plan that meets USBL requirements, but there's still work to be done on it, and it's on the governance committee's plate right now.
Right.
To finish our succession plan.
Thank you.
Look, y'all, we've been working for the last few months. I just want to let y'all know we've been going through the
And you know what's in the
bylaws,
background.
the details. We've been digging in deep. We've been digging in deep to the financial pieces. We've been digging in deep. You
The
know,
deeper you go, the deeper you go.
and the deep.
That's right.
But no question, we have, now I tried to make this reflect our Adventures in Faith thing, so I know I probably got a few of these, left a few of these out. However, what is your personal growth was the piece that was in there. And I'm telling you that as a person who really values my personal growth, and unfoldment and expansion of my consciousness, I love this part. This is the thing that I'm most excited about every time I get ready or prepare for a board meeting, is that I know in some way I'm going to learn something that I didn't already know. And I'm going to be called on to improve on a skill set or some aspect of myself in some way, shape, or form. So when you grow, we grow. Right? When you grow, we grow. That's the point of this event right here. Is because one of the things that was discussed in a few of our board meetings, or at least one or two of them, is, you know, you just feel like a deer in headlights. You know, at least some of us did when we came on. And we said we're not going to have anybody coming after us that feels this way. So we said we're gonna do these things and we're gonna get them out now, you know. There's some other important reasons why we need to do this, because we need to prepare, you know, for next year's election and get people. But we wanted to do it, and we wanted to do it more regularly, so that those of you who are not board members, you kind of have a sense of what the expectation is and what your skill sets need to be and so on and so forth, so that when you get elected, then you don't come in, you know, feeling a sense of vertigo. All right? All right, next slide. All right, so in general, your commitments and responsibilities, you are to hold the vision. And be joyful while you're doing it, please. Right? And I'll say, you know, I will confess to you that in our board meetings, we actually do have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
I mean, you know, it's not like, I don't know what I thought. I'm not sure what my expectation was in terms of being in board meetings. But I'm sure it was probably influenced by, you know, people really, you know, the stuff that I see on these, and hear on the radio and see on TV and stuff, like it's just real serious and people just staring across the room at each other, debate. You know, our vision is so clear in terms of our purpose and our vision. Most of the time it's not a whole lot. I mean, we just need to take time to get on the core with some of the little nuances and stuff. But most of the time, we are grinning and cheesing and trying to make the absolute best decision that we can for this organization, because you're a part of it and we care about you.
And that we've done the due diligence, we've done the research, we've done the work. So all those subcommittees are actually working, and when we bring something before the board, the due diligence has been done, the research has been done, and if it has not been done, somebody is speaking up and saying, well, I don't agree with that. You know, what else is said about it? What else is possible? I mean, it's not like, you know, but like you said, we do it joyfully, so we have a good time. And we love this organization, so we're having a good time. We're in there, you know.
Yeah. And now, we do disagree.
Oh, yeah, we do.
On points. But we just, you know, we never thought, metaphysician.
And we're always working toward the highest consensus level.
And
You're not just saying, okay, we got 5 people who want this and 4 people who want this, so let's just do what the 5 people say. That's not how we operate. We are always working to get to the highest level of consensus, because we're working a spiritual law that says when you're on one accord, things happen like that. So that means the 5 have to then be in conversation with the 4 so that we get an action that is satisfactory to the 9.
Okay.
So one strong opinion doesn't outweigh everybody else.
Not necessarily. If you have people, because you know, this is my experience in doing this for 16 years. Spirit puts the board together. Spirit will actually bring together the right group of people with the right consciousness at the right time for where we are as an organization. So whatever it is that somebody's saying, we listen to it because it's relevant. Spirit puts on the board people who have a point of view that's going to help us get to, first of all, help us maintain what we already have, and then it's going to help us to move forward. So wherever in the life of the organization, your consciousness becomes important and critical. Spirit will give you the nudge, okay, be willing to apply to serve. And I've seen that. And I've seen people say, I don't know why they on the board. I've seen that. But we on the board understand that this is a person who holds consciousness at a certain level. Even if they don't have some skills that the business world might think is important, if they have a consciousness and are actually disciplined in working spiritual laws and principles. There are times in the life of an organization where that's more important than some of those other skills and spheres of influence. Because when you're running a spirit-driven operation, the spiritual piece always comes first.
Well said.
And spirit will bring forth, I'm telling you, people, and sometimes it's the least so-called likely person who has something to say that flips the awareness of the whole
Turns on the
board.
light switch.
Yeah, turn the light switch on. So, we don't discount anybody. We don't discount anybody's contribution, and we work towards consensus at the highest level. One accord.
A quick thing on this, because when I read this now and say be purpose driven, it brings me back to what Val was talking about, intentionality. And I would just share with you an observation that I've made. If we are agreeing on everything, then that means that's an indication oftentimes that our intentionality is in question. Because when you really care about something, you care about the details.
That's right.
You want to have the correct information. And you say, hold on, wait a minute. I'm not sure if I'm in agreement on that one. I need clarity. And a lot of times that's what's happening. The debate is good.
Yes.
The
And it
debate is
doesn't
good.
mean that something's wrong because somebody's challenging something.
Right.
It doesn't mean something's wrong.
Right. Think about it like a tire on the road. Without friction, your car ain't going nowhere. So you need the and friction sometimes is just really in the form of not having information that you need to have
Yes.
to make the
Yes.
decisions
Yes.
that you need to make.
I mean, we've started off in directions in the past and discovered by somebody, one or two people's dissent, that they were not on board with it. And so we pulled back and decided not to do it. Rather than just barreling right on through, because they were bringing up something that was significant, but we didn't see that until after we made the decision, okay, this means it's not the right time to move forward with this. Because there's certain things that you don't have consensus, if you don't have one accord,
Might I make a point also about language? We get from language what we do and how we do it. And so the language that normal business organizations might utilize is not our language.
that's right.
And I would offer that rarely are we in disagreement. We are in observation and bring up critical points. And we get to language what we do.
That's right.
You know, and so we don't have to say there's dissent,
That's right.
or that there's disruption, or that there's conflict, or even that there's debate. So because we get to identify that we have the power of language, and we have power to speak the word, and so we speak it so, whatever we want to create on the board. And so we have creative opportunities to re-language and to identify an exchange of open ideas. And so we can language that any way we choose as an organization, as a group. And so I would dare to say I don't see OGOT's board having any conflict of debate. Just the opportunity to exchange, the opportunity to explore new and different ideas. Because that's language of the corporate world. That ain't us. And
That's critical.
Forgive me, I spoke to y'all, forgive me. I said that.
No. That's a critical point in a spirit-driven organization. That's the critical point, right there. That's the critical point.
Well said. All right. Be ethical and exercise integrity. All right.
And it's the honor system. Look, you know what? It's totally honor system. You and the God of your understanding knows whether you're being ethical and exercising integrity. And we're not going to be trying to run after folk and say, well, you know, that's not what this is. This is about, can I trust myself to stay in alignment with God as I understand God? That's all, that's what that's about. Because I know I'm working a law all the time, either for myself or against myself. So, can I trust myself?
Somebody need a time check, please?
You're probably already there.
2 o'clock. Okay, 2 o'clock, 4 more slides to go. Maintain confidentiality. Back, please. I just want people to see that. I want people to see this one. Maintain confidentiality in all matters. Just wanted to say it really loudly so you can hear that part. All right, you know what that means. Let's go. Contribute your time, talent, ideas, and resources. What Paul was talking about before, and a couple of other people. Contribute your time, talent, ideas, and resources. Next slide. Promote spiritual. Your spiritual commitment and responsibilities. Promote harmony within the congregation and amongst the ministries. Support and pray with the senior minister at all times. Pray without ceasing. You don't have to be face to face with her to do it. You can just be holding up the consciousness and holding the vision. Demonstrate leadership through principle-based living. Okay. And greet guests and congregations. When I saw that one, I was like, really?
Yeah.
You know, it really, I'll be honest with you, it struck me as odd because most of us, we just a loving church. I was like, they had to put that in there, but you know.
Yes.
Yeah, why not? Because we can put who we are in there.
Yes.
And that's who we are. We greet people all the time. I see people loving on each other all the time in
It's
this
part of
church.
the character, it's a part of the culture.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. Next slide. Almost there. Our governance, from a governance perspective, your commitment and responsibilities is to hold the officer's position and sit on a board committee. We talked about that. Attend the leadership committee and monthly board meetings. Set policies and become familiar with Robert's Rules of Order. I'm going to say that again, because I wasn't. Become familiar with Robert's Rules of Order. If you don't know what it is, you should find out. All right. I was not, and it really was helpful to start becoming familiar with that. It is also a part of our bylaws, actually. That when we run our meetings, we run it according to Robert's Rules of Order. It does not mean that we have to do everything that way, because Robert's Rules of Order even says that you don't have to do everything we say in this book, because it's based on your culture, the culture of your organization, and if it does not coincide with what your vision and your mission is, you're perfectly free to do something different. Okay. But it's so helpful. Okay, let's move. Financial and accounting, as far as commitments and responsibilities. Assist in collecting and counting offerings at all services and special events. Provide stewardship of the financial resources and focus on prosperity. Self-explanatory? Keep going. All right, next slide. Last one. Let me say, I just think, I just feel obligated to say this. I'm so grateful for you, Bay. I'm so grateful for you, Reverend Burnett, Reverend Evelyn, and all of those who Reverend Burnett. Because this experience right here for me, while you all were talking, in my mind it reminded me of that picture, Footprint. Because I said that I was going to get us across the finish line. And here we are. But when I look back, there was footprints and they were not mine. Give thanks.
Yeah.
Are we going Go ahead.
Just one question. So if